And that's a wrap. The end. 24-58. The Philadelphia 76ers season comes to a conclusion after falling to the Chicago Bulls 122-102. And as Bree said, once we got ready to start the show, man, that was a fast game. Yes, it was, Bree. It went by pretty quickly, painless. Not had to worry about too much. Whether they won or lost, the fifth best lottery odds were already secure from their loss on Friday. So here we are, as Sal says there in the chat, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. With my partner in crime for all the home games. It's been a blast. Rich Hoffman, I'm Devon Givens. Bree, as mentioned, producer extraordinaire. All of you in the chat. Theo says, sweet release.
Yes.
Sweet release.
Yes, Theo.
It's finally over, Ethan says. Let's start the show, Philly Sheriff says. Let's get going.
And let's start the show with everybody. How you feeling? How you feeling after kind of a miserable season, frankly, comes to an end? I'll tell you how I'm feeling, Devon. I will say that I would trade the past 2 months for many other Februarys and Marches and Aprils that we've had in recent times. But I will say, because we went through all of that stuff and put the season to bed just over a long period of time, this is easy. This is good. I mean, I'm even thinking back to last year when they lost to the Knicks. That wasn't even like a super heartbreaking loss in terms of Sixers playoff losses. But even then, you know, we were going over the Tobias Harris goose egg. There was still a lot. It was a fresh wound. You know, you were hoping they could make it to the second round. This is easy street, man. This was nothing. That game took 30 minutes. You got Kyle Lowry saying he'll try not to remember the season. You got Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre kind of expressing that sentiment as well. And I completely agree with them. So I'll tell you, man, today was a pretty easy day for me, and I am curious, everybody in the chat, how are you guys feeling right now?
Yeah, well, first things first, I want to say this, that number one, you brought up the goose egg from 12. How dare he go into the playoffs as a number 6 seed on that team that is fun to watch, except for we have to sit there and see him play. So, you know, they play my cousin. So you know what I'm rooting for. And I hope as much as we all...
His recent history against that franchise in the playoffs has not been very good.
We won't have to worry about that. I'll give some scouting reports to the guys as we get ready. And number two, I wanted to say this. I want to say thank you to all of you.
Yes.
Because, as I said, my partner in crime here to my right, Bree with us always here for all the games, home and away. But also want to thank you for sitting through all of this and making it easier for us, even when we disagree, that the good banter back and forth has been fun. The good times that they did have earlier in the season, we all celebrated together and discussing it. Like real fans you are and pros on the side that we are for what us three do and us five in general with Kyle and Derek, and how much fun even in the most disappointing season in the last 20 years for this basketball team that we've had to endure.
I would even go further. I would say it's one of the most disappointing seasons in the history of Philadelphia sports.
And Philadelphia sports, we thank you for hanging with us. For even when you were frustrated and disappointed in things that we said, you came back to us and allowed the PHLY Sixers podcast, not just the post-game show or the pregame show, you allowed the podcast to thrive and be what it is and build a community that we do have because of you. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Number of names that we always shout out and say, our roll call. Thank you for hanging with us despite an ugly season with this basketball team. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you before we even get started.
I would echo those sentiments, and I just really appreciate, even when you disagree with us, even when you call one of my takes stupid, the fact that you guys are still here a lot of nights, every night, some of you, when this season was a complete slog. I think we have learned doing this show that it is a little bit harder to do when the team is really giving you nothing to work with, which that was the case over the past few months. But hopefully better days ahead for this team, better days ahead for this show in terms of just having some stuff to work with the offseason, with the draft, with free agency, who stays, who goes, all of those things. But I just want to say to everybody who is here consistently a little bit, we really appreciate you. We could not do our jobs without you.
100%. Absolutely. So we are about a month, because today is April 13th.
Yeah.
And the draft lottery is on May 12th. We are basically a month, Rich, from that.
From D-Day,
and
Torture Day.
We have a lot to discuss during that time. And with it, it is just looking at who they could potentially take a peek at. Getting some draft evals from Derek and Kyle and Rich and myself of what we think of players. Yes, we've talked about them, but we're going to dive into those a lot more over the course of the next month. We might have some special guests on the show to help with that as well as we go through this month to prepare for the draft lottery. And then once they secure the number 1 overall pick and Cooper flag, we can really start to discuss how this team looks for the 25-26 campaign.
I would take Dylan Harper too. I'd take him too.
Or Dylan Harper.
That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be a lot of
if
fun.
they got Dylan Harper,
that's different.
Then you might have to rework the rest of the roster around that.
Exactly.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, it was. Hopefully we have a good month here, and if they do keep their pick, then I think the month of May, the month of June, July with Summer League, when you guys are out there in Vegas. You're not just talking about some random second round picks, even though we'll probably go all in on those guys as well. Adem Bona is a perfect example of a guy who I don't think we knew.
And this is at 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top of the second round too.
Yeah.
That's been where Daryl Morey has been at his best. I understand some of the other decisions would weigh down the overall grade, and I would agree with you on those. But yeah, today's game, just had to get through it. It was, man, I got to tell you, it was nice to not care whether they lost, whether they won, just like, whatever. And I think Kate said it well on the broadcast. They were just out there playing some ball. Lonnie Walker with 8 threes on the night. I did have to look up for a second, thinking like, man, he's really on fire. We got a couple of cool Bona dunks, which is awesome. Bona does that play action fake once a game now. Yeah. He's going to be killing people at Summer League in Vegas with that move.
Yeah.
So, very excited. Again, this was a completely rough season. We'll always have the Christmas Day win over the Celtics. That was clearly the high water mark, but some good stuff to talk about heading into the offseason.
For sure. So here's what we're going to do this afternoon. We have, of course, we'll check in. We'll try to effort because there's a lot going on at the arena with the
moving parts.
Exit interviews pregame. There's still some that needs to be conducted postgame. Right now, Kyle Lowry is speaking to the media postgame. And we are also awaiting to find out when Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey will sit down and speak to the assembled media, including our guys, Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner. So we will effort them with all the moving parts that are going on. We'll effort them as the show goes along to see when they are available, or if we have to step away and just simply get back to everybody tomorrow for the 3 p.m. show to discuss what the takeaways from those press conferences. We will still give our player of the game. All of the tank watch is no longer necessary because of what's going on.
No.
So we don't have to do that.
Even though Darkness wanted me to keep wearing my tank helmet, but
we don't have
to
helmet.
wear it today.
That was Friday. That was it. It's over. It's over. But when you guys come in and hang out with us on the 12th, you're more than welcome. We'll wipe out the inside of the helmet. You can don the helmet here in the studio, in the office, here with us that night for the draft lottery party on May 12th. And we will also give our final Rich daily Tankathon spin.
Been good recently.
To secure the number 1 or the number 2 overall pick in next month's draft lottery.
And then when I'm not on the show, I'll just continue to do it.
At home.
Yeah.
And just let us know what happens.
My daily spin.
Yeah. So that's what we'll do today. But this comes to an end, man. 24-58, a lot to discuss for you specifically because, you'll be involved with the show still. with some Eagle stuff, Sixers stuff, the draft lottery, obviously, your daily newsletter, as always, at allphly.com.
What time are you guys going to be in the offseason? 3
3 p.m. 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Monday through
Every
Friday.
day.
Every day. Rich will be involved somewhere along the way how this plays out.
I'll get involved
moving parts.
when they keep the pick.
Yeah, moving parts as Rich gets a break and gets some rest. But 24-58, we finally have the ending. They did not end on a 15-game losing streak. They snapped that, so 14 of their last 15 they lost, man. And a lot of questions. We still need a lot of answers.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff from the guys that will play in the next segment, from what they mentioned, from Maxey, George, and Kelly Oubre, from what was said there. But just your final analysis of the 24-25 campaign. You already said that this might be in Philadelphia history, maybe
Awful.
One of the top 5 worst seasons ever in Philadelphia history. I can't argue against you. So as it finally comes to an end, man, what are you thinking?
If you guys want to have a laugh, go back to, I believe we did, I forget if it was Anthony's show or the Sixers show, but it was you, myself, and Anthony. And we had Daryl Morey on the podcast. And
That was on
it was
Media,
on Media
Day.
Day. I forget under which show it was on. I think it was our show. And man, we were all really optimistic. We were thinking, all right, Sixers, Knicks, Celtics, for the first time, the 3 Northeast cities, the flagship franchises,
The Atlantic Division
are
rivals.
all going to be good at the same time. And, well, the Celtics, they held up their end of the bargain. Knicks did too. Oops, it was bad. So, yeah, this is one of the most disappointing seasons I've ever dealt with. There's just so much uncertainty headed into the offseason. But because of kind of how rough the last few months have been, this is a little bit of a softer landing. Because when you lose in the playoffs, you're always pointing fingers at the guy. You're always saying, get this guy out of here. And we've had those conversations for 2 months. So that does not seem like as much of a big deal. But yes, again, one of the most disappointing seasons, I would argue, in Philadelphia history. If they lose the pick, I think it is the most disappointing season. The benefit is if you keep the pick, all right, you actually might get something really good out of this bad season. But yeah, that is where I am at on this year. And look, I think we've tried to make it as fun as possible and, tried to, get involved with Justin Edwards, who's another guy who did not play that well in Summer League and clearly took steps along the way, taking the little victories, the Quentin Grimes victory tour that he was on for a few weeks there when he was unbelievably good scoring the basketball. But now we can get on to bigger picture stuff and free agency, the draft, who stays, who goes, all that stuff.
Yeah, because that is definitely going to be one of the who stays, who goes kind of conversations that we have here on the show. I did want to ask you this, though, as you just laid out the players, the young players, the up and down nature, the fact that we are here where we are. Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse are going to speak to the media here shortly. I did ask you the question the other day, will they sit there together at the end of the season and have this type of conversation, media availability with the press? And they are. So at least today, Rich, it seems that today they are going to be in their respective positions going forward and try to steer this team back in the right direction after this disappointing 24-58 year. Is this the right call if this is how it's going to go forward?
I don't know.
I think that's a fair.
Yeah.
Normally it's yes, no. You can't say I don't know. I think that's a fair way to go about it.
It's certainly different from how the rest of the NBA is operating right now, where you're seeing coaches and GMs of playoff teams get the axe. Now, in Denver's case, and Joaquin brought this up in the chat, like you said, he wouldn't mind seeing those two guys go. I think the difference is that those two guys in Denver clearly did not get along with each other, and it was not a tenable working relationship. And I think the Cronkies, the owners of the Nuggets, said, "Yeah, guys, we can't move forward with this working relationship between maybe our two most important people outside of Jokic and the ownership. Like, if they're not on the same page, like, what are we doing here? Are Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse on the same page? That's a good question. I would also add too, and this is just reality here, Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse both make a lot of money. And to just pay those guys to go away, I think it's something that the Sixers should do if they are convinced that that is the best way to move forward. but I don't know how much that factors in, right? If you're unsure that you can do better than either of those guys, we've heard those Bob Myers whispers. I'm not saying that there haven't been whispers and kind of loose reporting linking the Sixers with other coaches, other executives, but they do make a lot of money, and I do wonder if Josh Harris is going to pay those guys to just leave. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe.
He's had success with them.
He's done it before with Brett Brown.
Yes, but he had a 6-year run. He had a 6-year run. Under a new contract, yes, but a 6-year run to also show. And his hand was forced with the Colangelo piece. Rivers, you can see where sometimes things can just simply go in a different direction as a result. But this one is somewhere that none of them would have expected this at all after the summer that they had acquiring Paul George and then the run of everyone else thereafter, including getting at the start of the season, albeit with some injuries, surprising play from Jared McCain early on, showing that he can still stand in this league and stand with this team despite the issues that you may think about their backcourt. You saw some really good things there pretty early. That said, it turned into what it turned into, and that will have your owner reevaluate things, even with the money that is there. You look at Phoenix, different situations, but Phoenix was in the NBA Finals a few years ago. After that, they got eliminated in the first round, and it took a crazy thing to happen with the Dallas Mavericks for that to happen for the Suns to do that. Then they made their changes, but they fired Monty Williams, who got them to the finals. Then they hired Frank Vogel, who won a championship with the Lakers, fired him after a season. They fire him, bring in Budenholzer. He's probably going to get fired. Now, this is new owner syndrome when it comes to Matt Ishbia for all of that turnover to happen, making the trade and bringing in Kevin Durant. As you said, things happen. We've already seen it with both Denver, who won a championship a couple of seasons ago, and Memphis, who was a top 3 team a few seasons ago before Ja Morant started going into, combat mode for what he does. And the Sixers, every organization doesn't have to be the same to make that decision. It just has to be your decision as to why you made that choice to move on from the people that you moved on from. And with these two, last year you get eliminated in the first round. This year you don't even make the play-in tournament because you were that bad. Now, had they kept playing Paul George, playing Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey before the finger injury, or even with the finger injury, they would have most likely made the play-in. But that's still a disappointment from where you were after the offseason to finish with the record that you have and not be in the top 6 of the playoffs. So everything needs to be reevaluated outside of Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. With all due respect for the people who feel the way they feel about Joel Embiid, we know that it really starts from 3 on down the roster, but everyone from the top, from Morey down to Nurse, everything deserves to have a conversation of a reevaluation. And if that's where they decide to go and keeping them, fine. But they better do their jobs. Health will help, we hope. And then if it doesn't work out early next season, that will be something that will be very interesting to see if the owner decides something really quickly to get the season back on track if they make a decision early. But for right now, everything deserves reevaluation after a season like this.
So that would be my worst case scenario, right? You give Nick Nurse. I mean, again, like if you are feeling any sort of skepticism about Daryl Morey or Nick Nurse, but I think it's more pressing for the coach because the most important part of the executive calendar is coming up with the draft and free agency, player acquisition. I know the trade deadline is also super important, but June, July is the most important part for a GM. I would say, though, if you're feeling even a little bit of skepticism about either of those guys, you got to make a move, right? It's the same thing with Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies this year, where they basically reworked his whole bench and they were dying to fire him. And really, I don't think he gave them that good of an excuse to do so, but they did it anyway, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where, a lot of times deserve has nothing to do with it, when it comes to NBA coach firing. Yeah. Like Rick Carlisle is going to freak out about this is ridiculous. There's no job security in this league. And by the way, he's right. But at this point, all you guys know what you signed up for, right? This is a players league and owners make quick decisions. So I would say a couple things. I don't expect either of those guys to go. I think just starting with the fact that they are meeting the media together, right? I think our friend Mark Stein mentioned that is a sign that usually, now I don't know if Mark has any inside information. He very well could, right? That's how a good reporter kind of, informs people without saying it completely. But I think there is a chance that this is in terms of the brass, the coach, the GM, all of the big three. Obviously, we want Maxey back. I understand that he's in a different spot. I think this could be an unsatisfying offseason for a lot of people where this is a run-it-back type of offseason. But if it is a run-it-back type of offseason, they got to change a lot of stuff up, right? That doesn't mean, fine, you bring the same people back.
Yeah.
But this idea of run it back, like they need to get younger, they need to evaluate their schemes. And hey, and maybe while they're making those considerations, they say, all right, I don't think we can actually do this. I think we need to get new people in here. So, all eyes are on you, Josh Harris, Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse. We will see what happens. But yeah, they have authored an extremely disappointing season.
And yes, a few years ago, you did see Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey into the season
true.
together. However, this might be a little bit different with how the season ended. And they've had a longer runway to have these conversations prior to the end of the season being officially done like it is today.
They thought they had a chance to win a championship when they fired Doc.
Yeah. And they also thought that they had a chance to win a championship this year.
But they
got off to a start where after a while, we saw once we got to February, even March, where you've had a month to talk about this as an ownership with your general manager, with your president of basketball ops and with your head coach to figure out if you want to make that move at the end of the year. I'm guessing that they've already had these talks, and that's why they're staying here. And I'm fine with it because they have done whatever they have done to talk about this, to go through all the steps that Rich just talked about to make this decision. But as he said, you better be right and you better have some stuff ready to go, especially with the evaluation if you keep this draft pick. Daryl Morey's been good with the draft.
He has been good with the draft.
He's been good, but he also hasn't had the top 6 pick.
No, he's been good with finding kind of
diamonds in the rough.
End of rotation guys.
Yes.
Guys who did not have a lot of expectation here. No, that's clearly been his best thing. This is totally different, right? This is trying to pick the franchise player.
This is future.
And in free agency this year,
your free agency is Quentin Grimes if you can keep him. That's your free agency. Quentin Grimes, Gershon Yabusele, that's your free agency. The draft pick, that's very important. If the ownership decided to keep these two, cool. Let's see what they do with this whole thing. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into more of this season. Dismal season comes to an end with a 122-102 loss to the play-in bound Chicago Bulls. The Sixers end the campaign 24-58. Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, going to speak to the media here shortly.
24-58. That feels good, right? A little 33 winning percentage, right?
Yes.
Perfect, right?
Perfect. Exactly what we expected for this season. We'll come back. We'll discuss a lot more with this basketball team, more questions, more answers that we try to give you here, and some audio from the earlier exit interviews from Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. All right, do you have a little issue with financing and some blind spots with how you spend your money? It's really easy to get lost a little bit with your money because, hey, I can stop. We can go out to dinner and we can get this $40 meal tonight. I don't need to check my bank account because I pretty much know what I have and it's only $40. But that stuff starts to add up and maybe you might miss something there in the process where those blind spots like dining out will get in the way, or some online shopping that you know you can afford that $40 hoodie, but maybe again that it was a little blind spot that you just ignored just a little bit too much. Well, finances can be messy and confusing at times, and Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO. You need one, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Overall, it's more than your average budgeting app. It's very easy on your phone. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and your goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. Here's what we've learned. If you're actively using Monarch Money to track your financing, you might have earned that you've overspent a little bit, that you might have wasted a little bit of money here and there, but you need to also feel better now because you have started to use Monarch Money and the great app, very easy app that you can navigate through. Start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch makes money managing simple, even for busy lives like you have. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart, or just your own individual stress that you lay onto yourself because of these financial stresses. Monarch makes money conversations easier. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
And now let's talk about our friends at Ashley Furniture. Devon, spring has sprung and the low prices at Ashley are blooming. So spring into savings at Ashley and save up to 50% off living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms, and get your furniture delivered for free. Plus, get long-term, no interest financing and save on top brand mattresses. And again, the delivery, guys, is free. They will break it down for you. They will set it up and they will remove what other furniture that you are replacing. But guys, do not wait and spring into savings at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. Financing with approved credit, a minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. See store for complete details. And hurry to Ashley, guys. Visit ashleyfurniture.com for more information.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Quick super chats. We have two that I'm aware of, Vince and Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. And Vinny, our GM, asks, do exit interviews usually happen after a game? No, not usually, Vince. Although when the Sixers were bad during the process eras, like this year, when they were bad and they had some time to schedule it, I do remember one year when they said in the locker room, just get any guy you can get. Everybody's available, but these are our exit interviews. Over the last few years, as they have made the playoffs, no, it's usually the day after they lose a game, which is always, this is the... In the playoffs, of course.
This is the beat reporter in me talking. I said to the Sixers, man, guys, if you guys are going to lose, can you lose at home? So, we don't have to, hustle from the airport for an 8 a.m. exit interview the next day after Kawhi Leonard makes a quadruple bouncer or they lose in Boston and get humiliated. Anyway, no, it usually is not the case, but sometimes when the team struggles, I think they do this. I think that the difference is too, they're doing it with Paul George and Maxey. They have done that in past years when they have bowed out in the playoffs. Like the best players, they're going to talk for 20 or 30 minutes at the podium after the game, but it's usually not the whole team. That said, I have seen it before when they're able to plan this in advance and know that this is going to be the last day of the season.
Yes, special circumstance this year where it's not a playoff situation here. It is a 24-58. They've had time to figure out what they wanted to do. And instead of putting together and making the guys come in and sit through it then, they just said, hey, let's just do it on the last day. While we're home, as Rich just said, we're all home. All of the media is there and get it done now. So this is uncommon, but special circumstance, so they decided to go this route. Thanks for the super chat. Vinny, as always, Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, says, demote Morey, fire Brand and Nurse, and hire Magic Johnson and Bob Myers.
Magic Johnson?
I would not hire Magic Johnson, Davon. Bob Myers, that's a totally different question.
Maybe.
You might have your own thoughts about him, but Magic Johnson, no thanks.
Well,
he can come in and be a part of the organization and spend some money, but no thanks.
I do like that Davon is thinking along the lines of what they did last time where Elton Brand was running the operations for a year. Mm-hmm. But when they hired Daryl Morey, they said, all right, for 2 years, I think Elton had it, right? It was Colangelo happened in 2018 and
Sure.
Daryl didn't come till 2020. So, yeah, he's saying Make Morey the number 2. Make Elton just, I don't know, expel Elton from the island. I don't think they're going to do that, by the way. I think they like Elton. I think if Elton ends up leaving, it will be because he gets another job somewhere else. I think Elton's pretty well thought of around the league. I also don't think they're going to do that, Davon, because Daryl Morey, he's not going to be a number 2, right? Like, he's either going to be the number 1 or he's not going to be the GM of the Sixers. One of those two things.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea, though.
Yeah. Money Mars says, keep Bob Myers far away from this team.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not as gung-ho on Myers as a lot of people, but again, you know, he had some good fortune. He walked into Steph Curry's prime, and that was good, but he got pretty lucky with the cap spike also allowing him to sign KD, but clearly did not screw up a good situation. Made a good situation great.
And made an even greater impression on the owner because he helped him with the Washington football team and how that all came together with hiring the coach. And they did everything else that they did as far as drafting Jaden Daniels, but he helped him pick out the coach and I guess the general manager also. And they got to the NFC Championship game unexpectedly. So he left a pretty good impression on the owner and Josh Harris, which is why that name has been linked to Philadelphia after a disappointing season. There was a report out there earlier today that I saw about Elton Brand maybe garnering some interest from another Eastern Conference team out there.
We've seen reports like that over the last few years.
Yeah, not necessarily to run the team, but just to be a part of the front office.
He was linked to the Charlotte job before that guy Peterson got it from the Nets, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, this one was the Bucks that I saw a little bit earlier today.
He's well liked, but he also, I think, he likes living here. He's lived here since he played here, so we'll see. Sixers like him a lot.
Yep. Davon, again, $8 million possible, $10 million. And the old dude coming back, shaking my head. Goodness no.
I'm assuming that's Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry, because Kyle, as you pointed out, said that he wants to come back and he hopes that it's here.
I don't think that's.
I
would not do that.
No, especially now after a season like this, it's more of we can't do stuff like that again.
No, that was disastrous at the start of the year. They were too old. They were too small. They were too slow. Kyle Lowry, fantastic career. I've enjoyed how much you've repped Philly. I think he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yes, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Can't wait to see you in Springfield, Massachusetts, one of these years down the line. But I think the Sixers need to go in a new direction, in part because we talked about, if they draft Dylan Harper, they bring back Jared Butler, that guard room is already pretty crowded. With Maxey, with McCain, with Grimes, re-sign Grimes, Josh Harris.
And also, if you get Dylan Harper, that changes.
That's 5.
Changes how you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes how you go. Changes how you go. All right. We got Davon with another. Magic built the Lakers squad that won. He was the president.
Well, Pelinka was the president. And you know who built that squad, Davon? LeBron James wanting to go play in Hollywood. That's
That's the difference.
That's why.
That's the difference. And Riyad says,
that's not happening here.
Do you see a world where we draft a guard and keep that guard? We need front court help so badly. Is trading the pick for a solid front court player possible? The question is, who is that front court player that's going to emerge to be that player that you target?
Who's the guard, too?
We don't know who that is yet. Drafting a guard, well, Harper, number 1. Questions could be Trey Johnson, Jeremiah Fears if you draft.
So if it's Harper, right, I think that is a different caliber of prospect.
And you're keeping him.
Where you say, we're going to keep him because we think he has a chance to be potentially a star player in this league. And we'll figure it out later, right? But that talent is hard to come by. I think it becomes a much more interesting question when you get to Trey Johnson, when do you get to Edgecombe, when you get to these other guys that are not as highly touted as Dylan Harper is.
I agree, 100%. All right, let's play some of this audio. Bree, should we do it now or should we squeeze in a break here? All right, let's do one. Let's start off with Paul George. We referenced this a little bit earlier in the show, but we wanted to give you the audio so you can actually hear it. This is from, of course, the guys at the arena. Derek and Kyle doing a great job, as always, with the videos and posting them. If you're not following our team account, at PHLY_Sixers on Twitter. This is from our team Twitter account. Paul George speaking pregame about the season and what things need to change in order for them to reach the levels that they thought they could next season? All right, so Paul George, we'll effort that again a little bit, but just to be clear, he was talking about some of the young talent, what they've accumulated in young talent. And when you hear it, the only thing though that he was right, he kept leaving out Bona. Now it's a big man; he probably just forgets it, right? He probably just forgets that he's there and he's a big man and all that stuff. He's thinking more guard and wing heavy overall, but kept leaving out the big man. Just had a pretty good game right in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
The chat is fed up with PG, so they said, that's okay that he had no sound.
Yeah. Well, once we fix it, still some sound. We're going to give you that sound so you can hear it. I understand you don't want to hear from Paul George. I got all that, but it's our job to play the audio and let you know what the man said. Don't play it again. My bad, Martian, but we have to play it no matter what. All right, when we come back, we'll give you some other audio. You want to hear from Tyrese Maxey? Cool. We'll let you hear from Tyrese Maxey.
We'll let you listen to that one.
Kelly Oubre as well when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
And guys, let's talk about our friends at Empire today.
No sound and no points.
No sound, no points. But Empire today, they'll give you some points. Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And Empire today can help you get it. Empire today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Guys, we've all been to those big box stores. You wander around endless aisles, and then somehow you are hauling all of those materials home, looking for an installer, and coordinating everything yourself. Those big box stores, they might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring, they might have been doing sinks yesterday. They could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. So do not feel overwhelmed. And look, Empire today, they are your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every single step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame with them. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house. Easy for you, the customer, with everything matching. And guys, you can get precise measurements taken and have all of your questions taken today, so there are no surprises. With Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Nobody likes to wait. So, guys, schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply, and visit Empire today/PHLY for full details.
All right, my people. We got to talk about some money here, and it's Financial Literacy Month, and I've got something for you that's going to help you in general, especially with teaching your kids, and that's how to handle their money. You've done a great job already, but more information can always help. So if you're a TrueMark Financial member, like many of you should be after all the months and the year that we've been telling you about joining this great credit union, you've got a fantastic opportunity now to help your kids and your teens to learn how to earn, save, and spend your money wisely with the free Greenlight account. So whether it's your kid, your niece, your nephew, your godson, your goddaughter, whomever it might be, your brother, your younger brother, or your younger sister that you may have, Greenlight, it's not just any app, it's a game changer for kids. And whether they're setting savings goals, learning how to track their spending, or even getting their own allowance, it's all right there at their fingertips. And the cool part about them, to make them feel like they've accomplished something as well, not just with the app, on your phone is the fact that they get their own debit card. That's right. I can remember the first time I got my ATM card. I was like, you can't tell me anything. I'm going to school. When I go to school, I'm taking the bus. I'm going to the nearest ATM, taking my little $10 out, and I'm feeling good about it. So you know, with your young kid, again, or your family member in general, that they're going to feel good about making purchases, learning how to budget their money, building real-world money skills while you stay in control. You, as the parent, niece, right, your aunt, your uncle, you are, and all of that, that you are making sure that you control it all from your phone. You get peace of mind, and they get a real chance to make smart, real responsible choices with their money. So if you're looking for a way to teach your kids some financial plays this financial literacy month, I can't recommend this enough. Once again, it's like training for life's biggest game, and that is your finances, especially as a young kid learning today. Head over to truemark.com/greenlight, get all the details, and sign up today. Don't miss the chance to set your kids up for financial success. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. All right, man. Whew. When you look at, I want to ask you who stays, who goes.
Well, there's been some comments in the post-game setting, the exit interviews, technically, where Derek has tweeted out what Gershon Yabusele has said.
Oh, he didn't speak pregame.
And Quentin Grimes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
they're getting everybody in, man. I think Daryl and Nick are going to be pretty late.
Well, shout out to the PR staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. All right. So what are they saying? Update us.
So according to Derek, and Derek tweeted this out, Gershon Yabusele, he says he hasn't thought much about his contract situation, but says that I am so grateful for the Sixers for giving me the chance to return to the NBA. And for sure, we will talk this offseason. So he's one of them. Okay. And then let's get to Quentin Grimes, and let's talk about those two, because I think they are the most interesting free agents by a lot. And this is also from Derek. Quentin Grimes, on if he could see himself staying in Philly. I'm very comfortable here. I could definitely see myself being here in the future, but that's my emphasis. The NBA is a business. That's what he said.
He came here and lit stuff up. Things have changed from that. What did Mark Stein tell us? Around that $34 million, 4 years, like $30 million it was, that Najee Marshall got. Things have changed. So the business part of
yesterday's price is not today's price.
No, it is not. So that is going to be one of the more interesting things to follow as far as the free agency goes. And he's a restricted guy, but even still, with what he did by putting up those big-time numbers, he averaged like 26 in March. He's still averaging at 24. Over the course of the 27 games that he played with the Sixers, he's averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, just under 5 at 4.6 assists, and shooting 39% from 3, taking around 7 threes a game. That's in 27 games. Now, it was different because they weren't really playing for anything, so he got the opportunity to shoot all those shots. He got to be a lead guy, best player out there on the floor. I mean, honestly, though, he had to show that he was the best player out there on the floor because Maxey was there sometimes. You also had Kelly Oubre still playing some of those basketball games, et cetera. But he grabbed the reins pretty quickly, and he never gave them back. He was clearly the best Sixer out there on the floor for weeks.
Yeah,
for weeks. A career high 46. After setting a career high of 44, he showed that he could score the basketball. So as Rich just said, yesterday's price is not the same. It's not today's price. And I'm very, very interested to see what the market thinks of him when he gets out there.
So my guess,
you mentioned Brooklyn like as a team that has a lot of money.
They're the boogeyman.
Yeah.
They're like the Sixers were with OG Anunoby last year, where he extracted quite a price from the New York Knicks. Because I think the Knicks were afraid that the Sixers were gonna come in and offer him a bunch of money, and they had the ability to do so. So Brooklyn is now that team on a lower level for Quentin Grimes this year. We're not talking about OG level numbers. So if I had to guess, this is just me. Again, this is uninformed, but this is just me looking kind of at their cap situation and how I feel, and this could very well be wrong. My guess is Quentin Grimes stays. They're able to match that contract, but Yabu gets a better mid-level exception offer for another team, and he ultimately leaves. Could be the opposite. Could be where if Quentin Grimes leaves and Brooklyn throws a massive offer sheet at him and the Sixers say, well, we can't do this. It's impractical. Like, maybe by that point they also have Dylan Harper here. So it's like, all right, this doesn't matter quite as much. Wouldn't be good. Don't get me wrong. Then maybe you're able to keep Yabu for more money. But yeah, that's where I feel right now. I think Grimes has to be the highest priority just because of his age and what he showed during this stretch over the past couple months. And again, like, other teams will probably prioritize him a little bit more as well. But that's my feeling, is that Grimes is the one who stays.
I don't know who else outside of Brooklyn where his interest would be. That's why I'm so curious about the interest around the league.
Detroit might be able to get some space.
They had him,
but they don't want him.
But they already had him,
and that was a bad experience.
Yeah, because that was this summer that they traded him to Dallas. So that new ownership, that new front office and that new coaching staff, they already had him. So I would X them out right away. And I would look at Brooklyn.
So we'd have to look at the teams that can create cap space. But you're right. There's generally not a lot of it. And Brooklyn is the obvious team that's going to have some. So
Yeah. And did they say anything else as you looked at what Derek was pointing out there about all of this?
I'm not seeing anything else on Grimes, but something that could affect both of them. Derek tweeted that Andre Drummond, who has a player option for next season, said, "My plan is to be back."
That just means he's opting into his $5 million.
I think if I was his financial advisor or his agent, I would say, good decision, Andre, because I don't think he'd be able to get that $5 million elsewhere. So that's something the Sixers are going to have to work around, because as we have talked about constantly over these last few weeks, I want to see Bona as the backup center. The only way I don't want Bona to be the backup center is if you draft Malawak or somebody and there's a center in the draft that you feel is a better player than Bona. But I'd much rather see Bona than Drummond. I think, number one, he gives you an upside that Drummond does not. You just look at their respective ages and how much better Bona got over even just these last 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, man, he had a couple drives today, lefty finishes off the drive where you're thinking yeah, probably if you have a loaded team next year and you have everybody here, you're not going to be asking him to do that much. But I do think that level of improvement over such a short period of time speaks well to him. And I think it's something that he can improve in future years. We don't know exactly what his ceiling is. I don't think he has superstar upside in terms of being able to handle the ball, but could he be a starting center in this league? I'm not shutting the door on that one. So I'd rather have Bona, and I also think Bona might just be better than Drummond right now as well. So upside and current day, I think Bona's probably winning that argument.
All right, so stay go. We'll just eliminate Quentin Grimes and Yabu Sele because you already pointed out that you think Grimes is more likely to stay.
I could be wrong.
Just your guessing.
That's my gut.
We're in April.
That's my big old gut.
Yeah, it's the gut right now. Grimes stays. Yabu Sele goes because he gets a better offer. Drummond stays because $5 million player option.
Drummond stays because he wants to.
Exactly. And that's for financial reasons, not necessarily for geographical reasons or anything, or even team reasons. He's just staying because the money is too good. Eric Gordon, also on the player option. What is his, $2 million?
Yeah, I think his might be closer for the vet min. So if he's able to get that somewhere else, he'd probably rather leave.
Yeah. So
will he be able to get that?
What do you think, though? Gut.
My gut is he's gone.
Okay. Eric Gordon gone. Kyle Lowry?
Gone.
All right.
I think one of the big lessons of this year is that the end of your roster cannot be stacked with these older players. You need just a certain baseline of athleticism. And that's not to say that Eric Gordon couldn't be a good player. I mean, there was a few weeks after he got out of the dentist chair in January where he was shooting the 3-ball really well, which was part of Tyrese Maxey having such a good stretch. Man, he had a lot of space to operate, and part of that was Eric Gordon was just straight up not missing. But I think I would rather go younger, somebody like Jared Butler, just some level of upside, some level of speed. They were just so old and so slow.
Right. So Jared Butler, stay?
Maybe.
For right now.
Maybe.
For right now.
For right now,
because you don't know what the draft will entail and all that, but for right now, you say stay. Kelly Oubre.
His choice, right?
Yeah. But he doesn't have to opt into that because he really did play well this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm very interested to see what his choice is. Can he do better than that on the open market? I think he might be able to.
That's why I'm saying.
He might be able to. My guess is that Kelly is back. My guess is that he's going to opt in and he's back.
And his money, he signed a 2-year deal at $16 million last offseason. So he has a player option for 8.3 for the 25-26 campaign. You think he can do better than 8?
He might be able to get in that range on a longer-term deal somewhere else.
Like a 3-year deal, but for just around 7. So let's say 3 for 21, 3 for 22, something like that.
It's a good question. Can he get that mid-level? I think he can get that taxpayer mid-level exception money, which is, I think that's right around like that 7-8 million mark. That keeps going up every year with the rising salary cap. So my guess is Kelly's back, but I don't have a great feel for that one.
Yeah,
he said something interesting today. When you talk, I'll look it up.
So once we have the audio fixed, we can maybe try the Kelly Oubre part. But if not, we'll just read. We'll try the Kelly Oubre, since people said they're okay with hearing Kelly Oubre and not Paul George. Let's try the Kelly Oubre points here and see what Kelly Oubre had to say.
What positives do you take away from this?
It can't get any worse. 1, and 2, it's just like now we can figure out the issues and fix them, and come back, take this off season, come back stronger, bigger, better, faster, stronger, and not be in this position again. So when it rains, the sun got to shine one day. So I'm looking forward to sunshine.
Can't get any worse. Can it get any worse, Rich? It could. They could duplicate something along these lines next season. It could get worse. But the likelihood is that it does, in fact, get better. But what did you think of what he said there? And then we'll get to the other one that you were also referencing.
I like Kelly Oubre, the dude. He's, I don't know. Yeah, he's just got an interesting philosophy about life. I'll put it that way. It's very different than mine, but I really respect it. And one thing I will say about Kelly Oubre, too, is he plays really hard. There are things about his game that I'm not crazy about, but the effort is there every single night. And in a season like this, when the ship is sinking around him, I thought he brought that effort every single night. So kudos to Kelly. I think Darkness actually, I believe, brought up a good point that that middle class, they get squeezed. So I'm not sure he can actually do better than that. Now, are the Sixers going to be willing to give him that $7-8 million? I think teams might be willing to give him a longer-term contract on that. But I will say there is a ceiling in terms of how much he's going to make on the open market. Not really through any fault of his own, just the way that the NBA is treating those class of players now. They're paying the stars still their max contracts, but they're being a little more careful with the guys 5, 6, 7 in the rotation.
So the reason why I ask you about him and that point of hitting the open market is also because I think he might have changed the perception that was there before he got to the Sixers, where people couldn't trust him, right? Teams didn't know how to really evaluate him. Playing on a bad team like the Charlotte Hornets for those years, averaging 20 points, and what he was doing, the production, cool, but they couldn't trust him. That's why he could never get those contracts. I think he might have helped himself these last 2 years in the Sixers uniform.
I think that's definitely true. I mean, where he started in September of 2023 when he signs that minimum contract with the Sixers, I mean, he has certainly resurrected his NBA career to a degree here, because he's going to make more than that this year, and he's going to make more than that next year as well. So he's proven himself. Yeah, no, these last 2 years have been good for Kelly Oubre, and it's just a bummer that the other pieces around him were not able to show us, how he fit in a rotation that's really trying to win and really loading up, because we really only saw him playing off Embiid and Maxey for that first little bit last year, and just the rest of the team has not been able to hold up their end of the bargain. So Kelly kind of, just has to play hard, and he's not the greatest shooter in the world, which is a little bit of my issue, because I do think you do need to be able to shoot threes at a level to be like a wing player in a good offense. That's been an issue for him, but I will never knock his athleticism and just really how hard he plays at all times.
That's why I'm going to ask you about a wing next, after I tell everybody that Once you do finish with our show, hanging out with us here for a while this afternoon, make sure you go to our YouTube page there, and the full exit interview pressers are going to be posted on our YouTube. Again, as you know, youtube.com/@PHLY Sports there. Find it, and it will be there right there in the video section where you can look at all the pressers. Do that after we're done. After we're done here. Ricky Council.
Gone.
As much as I hate to say it.
Go get him, Rick, somewhere else.
Go get him, Rick. We'll root for you from afar because I don't think he had an opportunity. That's the problem. When everybody went down, he had an opportunity to grab a hold of one of those wing positions on a regular basis and do something with it, and I don't think he did enough. I think he hurt himself in this one. Instead, Justin Edwards, who we all agree should be back and should be back, he did the opposite. He turned it up, and he has established himself as a player that most likely will be here going forward.
Derek had a great Twitter post the other day where he mentioned the thing that I'm always frustrated with Rick, that he takes threes that are too far. And Derek said that he shot 37.5% on threes from 22 feet to 24 feet and 21% on shots 25 feet or longer. The problem is that basically 2/3 of his shots were in that other category. So he needs to work on that. He needs to work on some of his decision making. I think this is probably the end of the Ricky era in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that he'll only get he'll get a minimum from somebody, but it's not guaranteed. He'll have to go to Summer League once again and show out there and show that
She's done before.
Is worthy. I'm sorry?
Which he's done before. Done some good stuff there.
Yeah, he's done some good stuff. So let's see in a different organization, different system of how it may work out. But it was fun for a while last year where he really did some good things. This year, he didn't do enough to keep it. So Ricky, I agree with Rich, is most likely gone. Our player of the game for this afternoon, the final game of the season, was Lonnie Walker of 31 points, a career high
8 threes.
8 made threes on 15 attempts with 6 boards, 2 assists. He got here late in the season in March after leaving from overseas, coming here, struggling at the very beginning. Lonnie, though, is our player of the game. He has been playing pretty well over the course of the last few games, and with that, he gets the player of the game that, as always, is brought to you by
nobody.
But it might be brought to Lonnie by showing out well at the end of the season where he's able to keep his spot.
He's a guy I'm
on the
rooting
roster.
for
So
sure.
Stay or go.
I think he probably goes as well. But, I think this last little stretch of his season, that's probably helped him.
I think he stays.
I think he's an NBA player. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
think he
I don't know
stays.
if it's in Philadelphia or somewhere else, but I think he's an NBA player.
Because it was a team option for the second year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he stays. I think they give him a chance, at least for, if we're just simply talking about training camp and all, I think he's on the team for training camp to see where things go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they give him a little bit of a run there to see how things go and keep Lonnie. Ricky goes and kind of fills that role a little bit. Somebody you can trust a little bit more, knowing that you're going to get some things from him. Off the bench, a little more consistency and a better IQ of what the game looks like, especially after having to go overseas, having that exhibit 10 from the Boston Celtics last summer and couldn't stick. And he had to go overseas, didn't get the deals, didn't get the offers that he thought he might get from the NBA, which forced him to go overseas and do the stuff over there. So I think he stays. For whatever reason, I think he stays, at least for right now. Today, as Rich said, gut today, I think he stays. We'll see if the draft changes those things. I'm sure they don't have to make a decision until after the draft if they want to keep him with that team option. If you're watching on television, on the Fast, we're going to OT a little bit here. Make sure you switch over to allphly.com to finish the rest of the show here on this Sunday afternoon. What was the next one I wanted to throw at you? Oh, let's we haven't done it yet, so we need to make sure we fit it in for the last game of the season. That's our Ace Hardware temperature check, where we decide who's heating up, cooling off, team, player. With Ace Hardware temperature check, visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. Can we go with because I don't think stay or go. Marcus Bagley goes.
Go.
I agree. But on the way out.
On the way, give him the
Little
ace
temperature
temp
check.
Yeah.
Little temperature check, man, because he just continues to do things out there. He had 10 points on 4 for 9 shooting. He didn't shoot it well from 3 like he did on Friday night. But, man, he had 15 rebounds again, where he had 10 in the last game. He's got 15 today when Vucevic and Patrick Williams and Jalen Smith are on the floor too playing. He has 15 boards, 4 steals, a block shot. We're not asking him to be out there as a scorer because that's not who he is. But, man, if he's showing some other stuff with the defense and the rebounding, not a great defender, but as a 3-and-D type of wing that they have these titles, 15 boards again, 10 in the last game. He's had 25 rebounds in the last 2 games, Rich. He played 43 minutes today and not foul trouble for the second consecutive game. Yeah. So heating up, at least on the way out, to give teams to look at some film and decide if they want to offer him a training camp invite. He's heated up.
Yeah. I just wish he could make threes, man.
That's what he has to do in the offseason.
That's all he's got to do.
Shoot threes, man.
Shoot threes.
500 threes a day.
Yeah. No, look, he plays hard. So credit to Bagley. Again, both of these losses down the stretch, like this team largely acquitted themselves. Yeah. Okay, right? Where these guys, they have not played long enough together. The defense is awful every single night, but that's about more than these guys individually, I would say. It's about more than their effort level. It's about their lack of experience and their lack of continuity. Yeah, I like Marcus Bagley. Good for him.
Yeah, so for me, and I'll say this for me, I can't speak for Rich. When he was signed for the 2-way, I think it was, right? They had him on the 2-way?
Yeah.
Signed for the 2-way deal, and I'm like, why? What are you bringing him in here for? And he didn't do anything early. He didn't do anything great. And I'm not saying I have a soft spot for him, but he has exceeded the things that I even asked for from him coming in here, where I'm like, why are they giving this dude an opportunity? Let him just play for the G League team and just let it be what it is. But the rebounding, I didn't expect him to have a knack for the basketball the way that he has. I just didn't.
Yeah.
And for him to rebound the way that he did, have decent size at the wing position for that. I don't think he's going to be back on the 2-way.
He's an NBA athlete, but
I think
the level's got to catch up.
I think the NBA athlete part is there. If you can find somewhere else, I mean, he's going to have to be elite to stay on somebody's roster at something. Like you look at Herb Jones as a second-round pick, his defense turned out to be elite. He can't score, but he's an elite athlete, and he's an elite defender, and that's what's going to keep him on the floor. He'll make the occasional shot from the outside. He's nowhere near that, so he has to find that thing. But he's exceeded some of the stuff that even I expected, maybe because I was just so low on him and the Bagley family in general. Well, I didn't understand why. But
definitely different than Marvin. Yeah.
Yeah. He has a motor.
He
has a different motor.
Yeah,
he has a different because he wasn't as good.
No.
He wasn't as good as his brother.
No. So anyway, Marcus Bagley,
Good job.
Nice work. Good luck next year.
Good job on the temperature check. Again, that is our temperature check with Ace Hardware. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. Jalen Hood-Scafino.
No.
See you later, buddy. Thanks for participating. Isaiah Mobley.
No.
Thanks for participating once again.
You're being nicer.
Yes. Jeff Doughton.
No, but actually, thank you for participating because he was a big part of
Except for winning that game the other day. He had a career high. I mean,
well, it's fine. It didn't end up mattering. They took care of business on Friday.
It might have made us look at the Pelicans things a little bit different.
That's true.
That's forward.
Could have given
last
us a
couple
little
of
bit
games could have helped us out there. And I think that's it for everybody on the roster.
We'll have a lot of time to talk about this.
Yeah. So there's that. Anything else from anybody else? Tyrese Maxey, Bree, you want to run Maxey and what Maxey had to say? Starting off with the season, then we'll get to the Joel Embiid piece of things. Tyrese Maxey speaking about the season and where they go from here.
And then the names on the paper, it does have it looks nice. It does. And I think we've seen where our peaks can be in this year. It wasn't a lot of them, but it was some stretches where we all played and we looked really good. We found the right rotations. We knew who to get the ball to, who we need to get the ball to them. Everybody got shots. Everybody looked good, and so the sky's the limit. That's the thing that I can say. But the work has to be put in from day one, not from in the middle of the season. It has to be put in from today is our last game. Whenever everybody decides to start working out again, that's when our season for next year starts, individually and collectively. So, and it has to be taken serious, and I think we will take it serious. And I have the ultimate faith in the organization and the guys up top and my teammates to do that.
Tyrese Maxey.
Look, that kid had a different season than he's had over the past 4 years. I mean, the team has been good the whole time. As he has become better and a more integral part of the team, this is the first time that, the infrastructure around him kind of fell apart. And, there have been a lot of press conferences this year where he didn't have that smile on his face, right? Where he's just like, man, this is tough to deal with. I give him a lot of credit because, again, I keep mentioning this stretch in late January, early February, where I thought that was his best basketball of his career. Can he do that over multiple seasons? Well, if he can, then he's an even better player than I thought he was. But give him credit for fighting through that this season. As really he dealt with some injuries in the first month of the season. But as he was the guy who was the most available of the big three, just a tough spot for him this year. And I'm sure he'll learn a lot because that is a guy who just continues to take lessons and continues to get better. So love that guy.
He mentioned collectively and individually having to go and make sure they get the offseason started right and get the season on the right track for next year. I said to you in pregame that all three of them need to get together in the offseason. All three of them. George, Maxey, and Embiid need to get together. They need to carve out some time where they're together, figure out through their 15 games that they played together, figure out how they can make that work, take some of the positives out of the things that they saw out there on the floor in the moment, and then watching on film, figuring it out. They need somewhere somebody's going to put up a photo that they were together out there on the floor in the offseason. I think that's something that they need to do. As leaders of this basketball team, they need to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Melo 3-point. I understand that you think Maxey is probably talked about a little too highly. We get it. So PG has the injury excuse as well. Tyrese was just out there a little more than him, though. That's all.
And we got to him when it was happening. He played enough where we could talk about him when he was bad. Yeah. And gave him his props when he was good.
Man, people were mad at me in November the way I was talking about him.
Yes, they were.
But anyway, I think it's kind of a redo season for Tyrese Maxey, who definitely had stretches. That beginning stretch, he was struggling.
And Melo, if he does not play well next year, we'll be on him.
We're on him.
We'll be on him. Don't worry. But he is way down the list.
He's just way down the list.
Way down the
There's
list.
so much that went wrong with this season.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to go at him that hard. I don't.
No, not today. Not today. And maybe not even in the offseason. We'll see how it goes. And he played 52 games. Paul George played 41. Yeah. But we could evaluate it differently the way that we did during the season with those two. Saw it. Just knew what it was.
Yeah, well, they shut him down at the end because his hand was hurt. He still wanted to play.
He would have played if they didn't shut him down. What? 69?
PG's whole body was breaking
68,
down.
69? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 11 more games. That's a lot. It's an eighth of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. So we're just going to disagree on that one. That's okay. That's
fine. I agree. PG is not the number one issue with this season as well. I agree.
No, he's not.
There was a lot that went wrong with this season.
Yep. Skunk Riley with the super chat. Then we're going to get ready to wrap things up here on the final post-game show of the season. Devon, Bree, and Rich, much love for your work all year. You made this year good. Seriously, thanks for letting a maniac like me do haikus on your show.
Appreciate that,
You
Skunk.
are a haiku Skunk Riley.
Legend.
So you are a part of it. You are a part of the Discord as well with the haikus. And we appreciate you. As always, we really do. Everybody, we said at the top of the show that we appreciate all that you all have done this season for us to make this thing work for us in a disappointing season. We still have a job to do, and you guys made it really easy. Really, really easy.
Mm-hmm.
We will get together again at some point, Rich, during the off season a lot, and especially on May 12th. Bree, on May 12th, as we have our draft lottery party here at the studio. We'll have a 2-hour event that night. We'll do a 30-minute or so show somewhere around after we figure out what's going on with the 76ers on that night. It's between 7 and 7:30 of when things get started because of where the NBA is and how they go about their production, right? We know it's all about their production and when we're able to talk to you about it and hang out. But you have to be a diehard member to hang out with us at the PHLY Sixers Draft Lottery Party. So we hope to see you on that night, May 12th, to hang out with us, all of you in the chat. We hope that you are members and are able to hang out with us that evening as the Sixers lock in
Absolutely.
1 or 2 in that night. So make sure you become a diehard member to do so. Rich, on the way out, before we get to the world-famous roll call, the daily
Let's do a spin.
Tankathon spin
One more spin
from Rich.
before the off season.
Let's see.
Let's see it. Doing it right
What'd
now.
you get? Number 4, number 5 last time?
No, I got number 6.
Number 6.
And
Yeah.
this time I also got number 6. So
All right.
I'm not giving you guys a lot of high upside, but they are keeping the pick.
Hey, man, as many spins as we have, we're going to be all over the board,
Sure.
including out of the top 6 and it's no longer protected. How you feeling, though, about that? You feeling good that they keep it, or do you feel like...
I'm feeling like the odds are very well laid out for you, and I'm feeling that level of good. I'm feeling 2 out of 3 times they keep the pick, 1 out of 3 times it's a literal disaster.
I'm right
Great.
there with you on that one.
Awesome.
Kobe averaged 31. This is from Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. Kobe averaged 31. Lakers were 12th.
I don't know why the chat got it turned into a Maxey versus PG. Like, guys, we're past that. The season's over. Like, we'll figure it out in the offseason, but, I don't want to argue Maxey versus PG and who got the most blame and, Embiid. And no, man, like, Joel got hurt, and that's the reason they stink. We've been over this. It's okay.
Yeah, but just to continue, it takes a team to give Maxey his grace. It's only one LeBron and Iverson.
I'm
carrying
for giving
teams
Maxey
solo.
grace too,
So
100%.
we give him his grace.
But when you give him grace, then people say you're not being hard enough on him. So it's hard to win.
I agree. So remember, if you want to check out the exit interviews pre and post, because now we're getting some of the guys post game, made me think of Lonnie Walker and Hasn't Spoken, and Gershon Yabusele after the game, Quentin Grimes after the game. Jared Butler, I don't think spoke pregame either, so that will be one that we'll pay attention to. Adem Bona spoke postgame as well. Andre Drummond did, also saying he wants to stay here. So we'll see how things go. And the big ones, Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. Follow our YouTube page, as always, at youtube.com/@PHLY Sports. And once you go there, find the videos. And when you do, you can check out and see exactly where things are with the exit interviews for all of the guys, Sixers related. And that will actually be in the videos tab. So when you go there right now already, the Eric Gordon, Paul George videos are already up. And so are the Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre. So once these are done with the ones after the game, Quentin Grimes, Yabusele, you'll have all of those post-game as well at our PHLY _sports on YouTube, the video section, the tab, and then you'll go right there. You'll see the Sixers exit interviews there as well. Let's get to the world-famous roll call.
Last one of the season.
Unbelievable. Still can't believe it. But here we are. All right, let's shout out the Super Chatters. To start off, we have Vinny.
What up, Vince?
Skunk.
What up, Skunk?
And we also had, who did I write down here?
Riaz was in there.
Riaz, Schoolboy Beats,
Davon.
Super Chats. Davon.
What up, Davon?
Thank you so much for all the Super Chats. As I'm trying to get my speaking breath together, I'm kind of losing it. Maybe you need a sip of water here shortly. But I want to shout out Daryl Morey in the chat.
Daryl.
Ahead of his exit interview press conference. He's still going to be here.
Do you think Daryl and the Golden Girls are the same people?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And they are tremendous. So shout out to Golden Girls too.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Daryl.
Shout out to everybody there. Yes.
Not in real life.
You better love somebody to love somebody to love somebody.
Better love somebody.
Always thank you so much in the chat. Larry K. Jay of the Jungle. What up, Jay?
What up, Jay?
I Gavini. Kyle Wright. Mello 3-point. Mello, my man.
What up, Mello?
What up, Mello? Great to see you there as always. We had Nona and Purple Heart. I think that's the ladies. Mom, Sal, saw all of them in the chat. So
What
we
up,
get
guys?
all the ladies there all together. Thank you, everybody. Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, not only with the super chat, but the regular chat as well. Vic.
What up, Vic?
Philly Sheriff. I shot the sheriff. Didn't shoot the deputy. All right. Wrote him. What up, folks? Always good to see you in there. Boots.
What up, Boots?
Yams.
What up, Yams?
Joe and Peace. What up, Peace? Mr. Sandman. Mark Jackson.
What up, Mark?
Don't want to hire him, though. My personal choice. I don't want to hire him.
But our guy in the chat, Mark Jackson.
We love that, Mark Jackson. Remo K.
What up,
Riaz. What up, Riaz? We had Joe Tiz.
What up, Joe?
Theo. Superb.
Theo.
215 J Philly. What up, 215? Steve Dancy, my man. You know Steve. He's at the arena all the time. You would see him. Steve, what's going on, Steve? Thanks for jumping in the chat. Martian Lynch is back. Love to see it. And Gene in the chat. Also, Ja. That's how it was, right, Bree? Ja. That was Ja was in the chat. What up, Ja? Darkness.
What up, Darkness?
Turn down the lights. The Sixers did all season. 24-58 was their record. They couldn't stand the lights. All right, Vic, the lights were too bright. Vic, Internet, Wiz Society. Joaquin, what up, Joaquin? Coleman
Joaquin?
Potts. JH. Money Mar. Good
What
to
up,
see you,
Mar?
Money. Hey, Aaron. What up, Aaron? I know we'll see you on May 12th. Neil Deaver.
What up, Neil?
Nick. X-Man. What up, X? Prophet 1. Vinny.
What up, Prophet?
And Nooms for 9 in the chat. Everybody, thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show as always. And understand that our schedule going forward will be Monday through Friday.
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Right across the schedule as
right
Bree
here.
has below.
So when you like and subscribe, you hit the bell icon. That will alert you that it is showtime at 3 p.m. every day here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. For everybody here, we say thank you to producer extraordinaire Bree. As always, the
As
best.
always, the
Graphics, timing with things, videos, on point with everything all throughout this season. And we thank Bree. We love her. And we know that you do too. So we thank everybody. Nell Mac 4621 saying, yo, what up, Nell Mac in the chat. We appreciate you. So everybody will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. We'll talk to Kyle and Derek about the exit interviews, the outlook on the season, the off season as we get things started with
We'll
our
hear what
content.
Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse said
We'll
tomorrow.
start with our content right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. So we thank our presenting sponsor all season as well, Bet365. Make sure you download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Just a quick update. The Phillies did lose today. Disappointing. All right, no problem there. Denver, 65-52 right now at halftime over the Rockets. The Memphis Grizzlies defeating the Dallas Mavericks, 67-54 at the half. The Timberwolves with a 1-point lead over the Utah Jazz. What is going on there? And everybody else, the 60-58 lead for the Clippers at the break over the Golden State Warriors. That just
go
went
home
to
and
the
watch
half.
that one. That'll be a good one.
So, everybody, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be here all off season, so don't go anywhere. But as far as games go, we couldn't have done it without you. It was a tough season with 82 games, 24-58, but we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, Rich. I know we'll be together. But
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. This was fun. Year 2 of our post-game shows, pre- and post-game shows for the home games with Bree. Fantastic, man.
A lot of fun, man.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. So everybody, we'll see you tomorrow at 3. Enjoy the rest of your sunny Sunday. All the games are out of the way as far as your Philadelphia games. Flyers, they were winning last time I checked, and the guys were mad. Go check their post-game show out right now as you sign off. For Rich, Kyle, Derek, and Bree. I'm Devon. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. See ya.
See you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.